Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 19 here on the Hagenstedt map. Let's get back to reliving the glory days. 2 more loads possibly from up here. It shouldn't take too long because we're able to whip up and down from this top field and down empty out at a very reasonable pace now. I like just how quickly we are able to do this. It doesn't seem to be causing us any issues going up and down this fast, and these rows are actually wide enough apart that we don't need to be skipping any for coming back. Like normally, like if you're following along behind the combine and you're sort of trying to emulate real life as much as possible, you don't go up to the end of the row and then immediately turn back on yourself and come back down the next row. There's tiny little bits of straw left along that side. If we're doing a pass across the field, we may end up getting some of those. But yeah, if you got your rows wide enough apart, you can get right round and come back on the same row, right on the very next row, without putting unnecessary strain on the PTO shaft. And that's what we're able to do on this one. Because these rows are close enough together, we are actually able to go and do that. And that is absolutely fantastic. It's not a huge difference, really, but it does have just the smallest amount of time saving with it. Like, it does save just the tiniest little bit of amount of time on it. So, there, you know, it is pushing it a little bit as to what you'd really want to do with the tractor and PTO shaft. It is a bit of a tight turn on there, but overall it's not too bad. I'd say that you'd be able to get away with that rather than having to skip rows. I mean, possibly we won't do it down here in these bigger fields, and we will skip a row. But then you're traveling on the end of the field, and you've got a distance that you've got to travel before you start in on the next row, so it does end up taking a little bit longer. I mean, if you add it up over the course of the entire day, and you've got maybe an extra 10 minutes to do everything that you might have been doing. So it's really, really, really not a drastic amount at all. It really isn't. There is not a massive amount of time taken up doing that. Now, I'm going to have you... Actually, you know, I'm not going to just have you like that. I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to reset you over to the shop. That's going to be the easiest way to do this. So I'm going to reset you there like that. Okay, and then I'm going to leave the front weight up there. 6,528 euros for straw from there. I've already had one lot of 6,500, so there's 13,000 euros from straw already, plus we've had other loads previously. The amount of money that we get for our straw is very, very nice, right? We get a very nice quantity of money coming in for our straw right there, and I like it. I like it a lot. I'm very pleased with that. I'm very, very pleased with the amount of money that we can get from that. That is definitely a big, big plus. Now, I'm going to bring you over here like this, and I'm going to load up that thing of fertilizer into here, and then I'm going to do the same with the seed over here, and I shouldn't need to have any more than that. Now, what I was going to do this time round, because we've already found out for definite, for certain, that you cannot go and do planting and then immediately put a round of fertilizer on the field. It doesn't work. So what I was going to do this time round, we can ignore the lime and the ploughing bits. They don't make any difference. What I was going to do this time was I was going to put a layer of fertilizer across the field, and then I was actually just going to run a test of it over on there, wasn't I? That was all we were going to do. We're just going to do a quick test on there. So I'm going to unhitch you a minute, and then I'm going to jump over to this one, the tractor there a second, that one. I'm going to reset that one to the shop. Yes, okay, so that one is at the shop, ready and waiting for us. We're going to go back up to the top field with this one and gather up the next lot. That tractor over there is just about finished on there, so we're going to have 2 tractors that we can put on the seed drills in a minute. But I do want to just check that one, and I want to ride with it, because previously we have seen it do a very weird thing where it got to the end of the field, and then it turned and started to head in the opposite direction after finishing the field. It's not done it this time, though, so I will come and get that. Actually, I'll tell you what, let's just set that folding up. I know technically it shouldn't be happening there while it's parked up and the engine is switched off, but we won't worry about minor details like that. Let's not get bogged down in details and, you know, facts and physics and things like that. We don't need to worry about those. We'll just accept that it's working, and we'll ask no questions at all about anything whatsoever. I think that's the best approach. More than likely, you know, considering that we're not exactly following the laws of physics with this series. We're just kind of like, we're getting the work done no matter how. Alright, we're not going to ask questions about how the work is being done. We're just going to accept that the work is being done, and we're going to leave it at that. So you are whizzing up across here. Look at that absolute beauty belting along there. That looks amazing and fantastic, and I love it. I really like the stayer. There's something like quite clean and sleek about the stayer. Just the whole sort of look of the tractor and that. And I've always quite liked them. I think it's a shame that there isn't very many options for them. It would be quite cool if there were further options for them. But, you know, we got what we got. I'm going to just, I'm whizzing up here just to gather up these little bits that got left behind, because it's a little tiny bit rough there, and the rake doesn't quite catch it. And then we're going to go back over here, and we're going to take a piece. I'm going to go across there where it widens out. And then I'm going to turn around, because there's another little tiny speck right there. I'm getting all the straw today. There we go. We've got every single little bit. And we can go back on round. And off we go, whizzing up through here. So this field is done, which means that I will be able to get some tractors up here and working them. But before we do that, we're going to do a little test run on the small patch. Going to fertilize it, and I'm going to find out if I can then go and put some seed on there afterwards. So if I just gather up this, then I will get a fertilizer spinner on one of our tractors. I've actually just reset one to the shop, so I think we will, and the other one's parked in the field. We'll do something along those lines. We'll run this one down to the field a minute, and we get a bit more straw loaded into this wagon, just so that we've got a full load, and then we can get that one emptying. Then we will skip the shop, and we get that one and drive it back. I think we'll do that first, and then once we've done that bit, we will, right, let's get you in here, send you up this row. Once I have brought that one back from the shop, there we go, that one's full. I get the other one from the field, and I'll put that one back, so we'll get everything back to the yard. And then we can get the fertilizer on the little tiny field, and then we can just start having a look and see if we can plant and get a second round of fertilizer. Because it would actually be better if we can do it all in one go. If we can do it all in one go, it's going to make life a lot easier for us. Because we don't have to then wait for the first growth stage in order to be able to then go and get all the fertilizer on. You're a little bit more limited. If we can do it straight after the harvest, it does actually make life a lot easier for us. It makes the whole process a lot less complicated, because all we got to do then is get the fertilizer can be going while we're finishing up the harvest, and then the seed drills can follow along afterwards, and they're sort of all running as well. So everything is all flowing one after the other. Whereas if we've got to wait and we can't start putting stuff on until after the first growth stage, that means that we've then got to sort of dedicate a whole section of time to just applying fertilizer, and when we get a lot more land, that is just going to be dull as ditch water to go and do, and I don't really want to do that. That is not really part of my master plan. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to grab that fertilizer spinner right there. There is 1,000 litres of fertilizer in here. Now, I know that I'm using the hired help to purchase all fertilizer at the moment, so we don't really need to worry about it. However, I am still going to load this one up with a bit more. There we go. That one is now completely full, and we will put the cover back on. Right. Because sometimes I will still be doing stuff manually, maybe across the headlands on some of the fields, things like that. So I want to make sure that I've got fertilizer in the tank to be able to go and do that. The speed that this thing goes is brilliant. I love this. I love how fast. I know I'm laughing at this, but I have actually, like, I've not done a huge amount of fertilizer. I haven't done fertilizer spreading on crops, but I have done some fertilizer spreading on grass fields, and occasionally you do go this fast. Like, you do just, you put the pedal to the metal and go for it as quickly as you possibly can. Usually you try to restrict the flow of the fertilizer, but, you know, if you've got a really old, beat-up fertilizer spreader and you can't really restrict the flow of it very well, then option 2 is to just go for it. Just hammer down and absolutely go for it. And I have done that. So, yeah, that is actually a little bit more realistic than you'd think. And I've done that with muck spreading as well. I was working for a contractor, and we had to do some muck spreading. He had a load of compost there, and we took he had soil sampling done. You know, this was a farmer that wanted everything done to, like, every little bit done right. And soil samples were taken from different fields, and then we had to get the compost. That was all tested for various different fertilizer compounds and so on, and just to make sure that you know, so that he knew exactly what was going in, what value was going in. And then the different fields, we sort of then had to calculate what the overall rate of application was going to be, and we had to test how much the fertilizer, the muck spreaders put out when they were under load, so that we could check that as well. And he had it all calculated, and there were, you know, we had to do his whole farm, and so there was probably 20-25 fields that we were spreading. 4 of those fields required us to be doing our muck spreading at something, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something in the region of ideally 20 miles an hour. Now, 20 miles an hour when you've got a muck spreader under load and actually working is a fair old pace up across the field. It's basically you just open a thing up and then floor it across the field. It may have even been more than that. It was fast enough that we couldn't realistically do that and spread at the same time without having an accident. So it may have been more than 20 miles an hour, but it was extremely fast. You don't normally spread at those kind of speeds. But we were doing our best. It was so funny. Just watch this. Sorry, I'm not doing anything. Go onto YouTube and look up some videos of speed plowing. Look up speed plowing. Speed plowing is absolutely amazing. It is genuinely amazing. Right, let's stop you right there. We're not planting wheat. What did we do last? We didn't do wheat last. It's because I reset it. The last crop that we did was actually barley. We're on oats now. We need to be planting oats. Look up speed ploughing. It's not the same, right? It is not the same thing as the speed muck spreading, but when you see the speed ploughing and you see what they're doing, you will understand what it was that we were doing with our speed muck spreading, because it was pretty much exactly the same thing. Alright, it was pretty much exactly the same as the speed ploughing. It was that kind of redonkulous. Now, what are you doing? Yeah, you should be... Why are you turning that way? You should just go straight into the field. Yeah, now he's reversing up, because he thinks there's a corner there that he should have dropped in on. Right, well, he's sort of doing something. Let me go here a minute, worker setting. Let me move that up to 100%. Okay. That might make the him less likely to like pull out on the corners and give it a better go. But I think we're going to have to manually do some of this. The way he's working. But anyway, that's not the important bit. The important bit is that I wanted to see if he's... And he's not putting down another round of fertilizer on there, so we can't do that. It doesn't matter which way we do it. If we do the fertilizing first or second, we cannot do fertilizer and planting and fertilizer. It just doesn't work. If we're doing the cultivating before we get to this, then yes, we can do that. That will actually work, but what we're doing right here, this is... Oh, wait a minute. I got the wrong thing selected there. I want to select that one. What we're doing right here, that is not an option for... Right, you carry on. That, unfortunately, is not really going to be an option. That means that we do have to wait until the first growth stage in order to be able to do our fertilizing, which I'm a little bit disappointed about. I would have much preferred not to have had to do it like that, but yeah, that's just the way it is. Now, are you going to be able to get round this corner properly and do your turning? Because I have my doubts. I've got some serious doubts about your abilities to do just about anything at the moment. And I've also got doubts about my own abilities right there. I'm missing bits myself. So, yeah, if I can't do it, I can't really expect the hired help to be able to do it. If you can't do something yourself, you can't berate someone else for not being able to do it either. At least that's the way I look at it. But I don't think that there are very many employers who really believe that, because I've seen plenty of people getting berated for not being able to do something that the employer himself would have no hope of ever being able to accomplish. Right, so we cannot do fertilizer and then go and do seed drilling. I tell you what we can do, though. We can go over to this one, which means that we'll put the fertilizer spreader away in shed, and we will get that seed drill hooked on, and we'll drag that one up to the top field, and we will go and start work sowing that field up there. So I'm going to lower you down in there, like that. I've got that small field there is being done by that one, and I'm just going to leave him go until he cries out for help. Right now, yeah, I'm not going to ask too many questions. So long as he plants it, I don't really care. And look at this here. I've changed it to oats. I've actually remembered to change that one to oats before I got up to the field, which is, I really do feel that's a sign that I'm showing some progress, and I'm maybe, you know, developing my game to the extent where I'm not going to just cut fill the whole thing with ridiculous mistakes. I mean, probably not, admittedly. There's probably just no. This is probably just not going to happen like that. But you know, we can hope. We can hope. So if I take you a minute and lower you down here, and I will manually do a pass up across this side right here, and then I'm going to hired help a pass down the other side of the field, and then I want to do a pass. Shall I want to do 2 passes on the other end of the field? Because what I used to do was I used to do this. I didn't have the AI vehicle extension for doing the tractors, so it would be standard hired help, and that's what I'm going to do in this field. I'm going to use standard. We've got standard hired help already engaged, so I would bring it up and I would line up kind of the outside edge like this and there, and just press H, get it going. We'll run this one down through. Now this is going, it does go lovely and fast, so we are not going to take very long to actually get there. We can make sure that, because this outside edge is well, that bit back there, it's a little bit rough. Overall though, it seems pretty good, and it doesn't look like it's sort of missing any patches or anything like that. So we can do standard hired help right down to the end of the field down here. And I mean, there should be enough room to be able to turn off the end of this field anyway, but what I like to do is I like to have a pass around 3 sides. So I would do this, and I would go each time I went into a new field, and I'd never have 2 tractors working the same field. And I used to have 3 of them. I'd have 3 tractors. I'd have one on each field that I was working, and I would follow it. I'd take the tractor to a new field, and I would do once down the side, along the top end, once down the side, along the bottom end, and then I would just press H on the 4th side and just leave it going. So we bring it over to here. That means then the final pass is not going to be overlapping the outside edge of the field, which can sometimes cause it to do funny things. A lot less now than it used to, but it can still cause it to do funny things occasionally. So by doing it like this, you kind of avoid that bit completely. So I'm just going to bring you over a little bit like that, and then I'm going to press H onto there, and I'm just going to watch it up to the rough spot right here, because there is a chance it's not going to plant a couple little bits right here, and if it doesn't, I'm going to stop it. It's there. It's that bit right there. But no, it's actually gone right through and planted that just fine, and it should be able to go past the tree up here without any issue. And then he'll just turn around and he'll start now working his way across the field going that way, and there shouldn't be any issues with it. Right, that's perfect. So we can let that one go. You in here, you're actually doing a reasonable job. I'm not quite sure what's going on that corner over there. Not going to ask any questions. And I'm going to let it keep going around in circles for a minute. So let's go back to you, and we'll go and gather. I may as well just leave that one going for a bit, because it's not like we've got anywhere else for it to go. I don't want to send it up to the top field. That's a bit of an exercise in futility, sending it up there. There's nothing for it to do. So I will come over here. We'll gather up these couple of little bits that are sticking out over here. There's a little tiny bit that got missed there, and then we'll get another load. As soon as we've got this field here picked up, then that seed drill that's working the really small field, I'm hoping that by that time he will just be about ready to head into this field here and hit this one. And then they'll end up both of them working the biggest field together. At least that's the plan. Alright, we've got a carefully laid plan. And as we all know, when I have a carefully laid plan, it almost always comes to fruition without any variation from the carefully laid plan. Without anything going wrong, everything just goes swimmingly and beautifully. It's like poetry in motion every single time. If poetry was written by someone, well, I was going to say maybe the poetry was written by I don't know. I don't really know how to finish that up. Let's just say it's bad poetry. Just say the poem was written by me. Maybe it's poetry that is written by me. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm not so good at the whole poetry thing. I've never enjoyed poetry either. I know some people, they really, really love poetry, and that they'll listen to or read a poem and it speaks to their soul on so many different levels. Me, I like reading, okay? I love reading. I have read literally thousands and thousands of books in my life. I read and read and read. I always have done. From the earliest age, I have read many, many thousands of books. I probably have about 4,000 or 5,000 books in my house at the moment, and I have read every single one of them cover to cover, apart from maybe 3 books. And well, I suppose there may be a couple hundred that Sen owns that I haven't read because they're not really my cup of tea. You get the idea, right? Thousands upon thousands of books, and I have read a lot of books. Poetry, I just can't get into it. I just don't like poetry at all. I absolutely don't get to it. I've read so many stories that just grab me, and they speak to, and they do exactly what I just described. You know, they speak to my soul on so many different levels, and it's just amazing. Like, it feels like it's life-changing. You read a book, and some of them, it genuinely feels like it's changed your life for the better just because you've had the privilege of being able to read that particular mixture of words that the person has put onto some paper for you. And it's just absolutely incredible. But poetry has never, ever, ever done that for me in any way, shape, or form. And then I know other people who, like, poetry, more than just, you know, a story doesn't really do a lot for them. But you give them a poem and they'll sit there and become a complete, total weeping wreck. And it's like grabbed them in a way that nothing else ever could. So I'm not one of those people. I'm absolutely not for poetry. So it never gets me. And my attempts at writing poetry, the last time I tried to write anything resembling poetry was when I was in school, and that was a long time ago, and it was best left to, well, it's not even going to have a footnote in the history books, my attempts at poetry. We're just going to pretend that it never actually happened. It's going to be one of those things where the history books don't even acknowledge that it ever happened. It was that bad, and that way we don't need to ever worry about it. Nobody ever needs to talk about it again. So that's my poetry. So if I've written the poem that is the carefully laid plan for how things will work here on this farm, it may not necessarily work out quite how we were wanting. That was the moral of that particular long-winded, drawn-out story right there. Let's get you over into here and get you unloading. There's another 6.5 grand coming in. You're doing fantastic. You over this side, I reckon we could probably set the standard hired help working in a minute. So I'm going to let you back yourself on up there like that. And you're just going to fill out that little bit there. And then you're going to follow the edge of the field over here up to this point. I'm going to do a quick tidy up pass on here because, well, unfortunately, folks, that is all we have got time for today. And for those of you wondering, the paid promotion notification that came up at the beginning of the video is because in the description down below, you will find a link to Fanatical. I have an affiliation with them. If you use that link, I will earn a small commission on anything that you choose to purchase. But that is all we have got time for, so if you have enjoyed the episode, then please head down below and give us a like, and if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me, get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.